Hello everyone and welcome to the Dyslexia Life Hacks Show. I'm your host Matthew Head, and in this episode I'm talking to Elizabeth Takyi. She's an ambassador for Neurobox. She previously ran Aspire to Inspire Dyslexia. That was an award-winning organisation that supports dyslexics with assessments, entrepreneurship skills, employment skills and one-to-one, particularly focusing on people from diverse backgrounds that may not be able to get the information other places. She's delivered talks on dyslexia to companies such as the Co-op, Waitrose and Wimbledon Tennis Foundation, to name just a few. As I've mentioned, she works for Neurobox, who are also a proud sponsor of this podcast. With that being said, they do not influence what we talk about or what goes out in the final episode. And as always, I'll post links to things we talk about in the show notes, which will be available at dyslexialifehacks.com/podcast. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Hello, Matthew. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
No problem at all. And thank you for taking the time to come on and talk to me this evening. Now, where I wanted to kick the conversation off with was, I read in your bio somewhere that you actually moved back to Ghana at the age of 2. And you got a statement of dyslexia later on. But how did you find starting in the UK, then moving back to Ghana, then coming back to the UK? And there must be quite a lot of difference between the two.
There is. Yeah, there absolutely is. Yeah. So obviously I was born in the UK. When I was 2, I went to Ghana. So I went to my primary education was all based in Ghana, West Africa.
Yes.
So I do recall actually a lot of my childhood, should I call them trauma? Yeah, I can use the word trauma.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I do actually recall them all. And it was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you.
Okay.
The thing with Africa and obviously learning, I don't know about now, but back in the 70s when I was at primary school, from the age of about, I think I remember from, let's say, the age of 6 till about when I left to come back to the UK. And it was traumatic because if you couldn't spell, read, write, whatever, you'd get caned. If you didn't get caned, oh yes, you would. You would get caned, you get booed at, you get shamed at, you get laughed at, you get picked on. Yeah, because everybody else is doing it and you're not.
Yeah.
And I think there was a few of us in a class that I wouldn't say I knew about dyslexia at the time. I'll be honest, Matt, I just thought I was, I'm going to use this word because sometimes you just got to be blunt and say it as it is. I thought I was just sick and stupid, you know. That's all I thought. And I thought, well, I ain't really going to amount to nothing, am I? So here we are. So it was a nightmare, a complete nightmare. And I was caned all the time. Yes, I was, believe it or not. I was laughed at, I was picked on. So my defense mechanism was to always fight back. Okay. So if any child picked on me, I would just go for you. And I'm not normally not a violent person, you know. I'll just think, you know what? Don't laugh at me. Don't crack jokes about the reading and writing and spelling and the forgetfulness and all that things that go with dyslexia. So it was very, very traumatic for me, to be honest with you. Both from the primary, my parents wouldn't so much smack me because I couldn't, but my father didn't understand. He was just like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. He just didn't get it. And he never got me until he passed away. He never really understood me. You know? Yeah, so that's a little bit of a childhood story. If I dive into it, we'll be here forever. So that's the tip of the iceberg, yeah.
But yeah, it's, dear. So I imagine it wasn't really until you moved back to the UK that you got some inkling of having neurodiversity. If Ghana just had no interest whatsoever and you were just getting, so we say, corporal punishment going on all the time to somehow magically change your attitude, I guess is what they were looking for.
Well, you know, when I came back at the age of 12, I came and continued my secondary education in the UK.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, even back then, and I'm talking about 1982, I was 12, 82 onwards, 12, 13. And I remember a lot of my teachers, and they weren't even too familiar with dyslexia, to be honest with you. But the good thing is I wasn't caned, not in the UK. Nobody caned me or punished me or...
Yes.
Yeah, I got a few bullies back in the 80s, I'll be honest, I did.
Yeah.
You know, people call you all sorts of names. And,
they do indeed.
Yeah.
Kids are cruel, aren't they?
Exactly. And even the teachers were like, why can't you just sit still and learn? You know, of course, I've been diagnosed with the ADHD about, is it 10 months ago now?
Oh,
9 months ago?
Yeah.
February 2023. And teachers didn't get me. So I was always at Miss Neil's office. And Miss Neil is the head teacher.
Yes.
So I wouldn't learn. not deliberate, and I'm not proud of it. Honestly, Matt, sometimes I sit back and I think, why was I so naughty? Why was I so naughty from all the other children? It's what I used to call myself.
Yeah.
And so if it wasn't Miss Nill's office, then I'll come when my father would say to me, what did you learn today? And I used to also bank off school, by the way, Matt. I bank off and play truancy and all, It was fun to go to the corner shop and just not do anything,
Just hang out in the corner. Yeah.
That's what you do,
Yeah. It's a really interesting place.
Absolutely. We used to call it back shop. So I'll go to the back shop and just buy bits of sweets. Remember back in the day, sweets in a bag?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So, I get my little half a penny sweets and just literally don't do anything. So I'll go home and my father will say, how was school? And I thought it was fantastic. I said, what did you learn? And this is like big question mark. And he said, Miss Nill called home. You didn't go to school today, did you? And it was, no, Dad, I didn't. It got to a point where my father was like, I'm just going to leave her. If she becomes successful, great. If she doesn't, whatever. He just left me to get on with it. And that was a little bit of the secondary school, where it was great. I loved secondary school in terms of being with my friends and doing all the things teenagers do. But I came out with nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, well, where do we go from here?
Where did you go from there?
Well, fast forward, I when I say I came out with nothing, I had to be honest, they were unclassified and all sorts of different letters on that sort of certificate. I found it the other day, actually, when I was moving. I thought, okay, this is interesting. From someone who had a U and Fs and unclassified to a degree and a professional certificate in teaching, So I then signed up to the old YTS scheme, the youth training scheme.
Okay.
Which I loved because I went to study hairdressing. And studying hairdressing wasn't the norm in the Black African family home.
Oh, no. I see.
No, I couldn't be a hairdresser because Dad had plans for me. Mum was cool. Mum was like, look, whatever. Just let her do what she's got to do.
Yeah.
But no, my father wanted all the status, the doctor, the nurse, the lawyer, the solicitor. And good old Lizzie was doing hair. So it was things like, listen, she's gone completely the opposite to what we expected her to do. And of course, I've got 4 siblings and they all did so well, really successfully well. And there was the odd one who just did the things that my family, to be honest, would stand and feel, listen, this child is really shaming us,
Oh, no.
Yeah. It was like that. Eventually, I did my hairdressing and then, in fact, I started the college course and then I left it halfway because I have to write.
Right, yes, of course. Yeah.
We've got coursework to do. It's not all about hairdressing, is it? You're not just doing people's hair.
No.
So halfway through that, I thought, this ain't for me. Then I left. Then I did a hotel management course. Then I left. And then I thought, right, education ain't for me.
Yeah.
I know it's not for me.
I could get that after your experiences so far, yeah.
Absolutely. And I thought, I'm going to go off and do my own thing. So then I got a job and I got really brilliant jobs, actually. I got customer-facing jobs from the age of about 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And I worked for companies like Yorkshire Television as a receptionist. I worked for a company called Puccini, Western Web. It was a fashion house.
Okay, yeah.
And believe it or not, I was an in-house model.
Yay.
I say that for my kids and they go, no, Mum. I couldn't have been. But I was at the time. I was nice and slim at the time, hadn't had children. So I became an in-house model and I used to model all their garments before they go out to the shops.
Oh, I see. Yes.
So they'll do the fittings and everything on me. And I really loved it. And I remember, actually, I was about the age of 18, 19 at the time. But fast forward, it was like, well, listen, I love all this. And then I think the company closed. Western Web Puccini closed. Then it was like, listen, reality sets in. And a lot of my jobs it couldn't be what I love doing, talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of paperwork had to come into it. This is when all the panic set in again.
But, you say the panic comes in, struggling with writing, and you're doing that thing of kind of lily pad hopping between things that can avoid doing all the writing and studying. But what wall did you hit that you're like, I want to be here, and the barrier that's in the way is my fear and my lack of understanding maybe of writing things down and doing essays and doing the written work? What really pushed you off that cliff to get you going?
Okay, thank you for that question, Matthew. And in fact, this is the first podcast that I'm going to be so real and talk about, the actual what happened in between the time of a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And so forth. So I was in a relationship and it wasn't a very pleasant one. And I don't mind the whole world knowing this because I'm going to write a book about it at some point. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was it was a domestic violent relationship and it didn't work out for me and it was really bad. So I remember in that relationship, my ex-partner used to kind of say, why are you so stupid and dumb? And all the things he used to call me. And when that relationship fell, I was like, I'm going to prove this man wrong, that I can do better. And I am, at this time, by the way, Matthew, I didn't know that I had dyslexia at this time. So I'm going to prove this man wrong. He's left me 2 children and I'm going to go out there and tell it and show him that I can become something.
Yeah.
So this is when I walked into a university building. When my son was 7 and my daughter was 5. 2001 it was. So I walked into a university building which was South Bank Uni.
Yep.
And I went straight to the admissions officer and I said, I'm here to learn. She looked at me and thought, what do you want to learn? We have a long, about 350 courses. What is it you want to learn?
Yeah.
And I actually said, I remember, and I'll never forget what I actually said to the admissions officer. I said, you know what? I will learn anything that there's availability on a course. I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. So she then said, look, we've got some space on human resource management. Okay. And I thought, that'd do. Human resource, human. I can do this. I'm good with people. I'll be brilliant at doing this. And of course, I signed up for the course and I was admitted for the course and I went in as a mature student.
Yep.
So I think at the time, it didn't matter if I didn't have maths or English, GCSE or whatever. I think something got me in there. And I think it was industry experience is what they call it.
Yes. Yeah. Mapped across a little bit. Yeah.
Yes. So then I managed to get into uni and I failed my first year drastically. When I say drastically, Matt, it was so shameful.
Oh no.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad that the lecturer that was marking my work at some point said, look, I don't know whether when you're writing, whether you mean a W or an M, or do you mean an S or an A? Or why is it all mumbo jumbo like that? And I said, well, I don't know. Don't ask me. You're the teacher. You find out why it's all mumbo jumbo. I don't know why it is.
You're the expert
here. And of course, she one day she said to me, do you think you might have dyslexia? And I went, no.
This what?
No.
Yeah.
I thought, what's that? She went, I said, no, not me. And I didn't know what it was, though. I just heard some sort of, I thought it was a mental sort of, yes. I just didn't know what it was at the time.
Yeah.
I could have Googled, but was Google and all that accessible now? As in 2001, maybe?
No, it wasn't.
But would I?
I was at college at that point, and I know for well it wasn't because I would have used it heavily.
And I remember those days, it was a good dial-up computer, massive big computer that's dialing up. Yeah. So I didn't do no research or anything. And for me, it was like, no, I don't have dyslexia. So she said, well, okay, well, usually if you need help, it's available. And I was like, I don't need help. I'm going to be fine. And then she said, look, I'm really sorry, but it looks like you're going to have to come off the course. You're failing. We can't keep you here.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to this assessment or whatever it is, I'll go. So I turned up at the assessment center and they did the assessment and it came back as I have dyslexia and dyspraxia. And I wept like a baby. I cried and cried because I thought, what is it? Does that mean that? What does it mean? Does it mean I need medication? What does it mean? All this. So then the assessor explained, learning difference, but there is help available. And the help is you can get assisted technology to help you with your studies. And even that, I thought, well, what's that? What is assisted tech? I didn't understand none of it. So when she then explained it and I got the assisted tech, Matt, this was the time that my wings were so huge that I could fly.
Yes. Yes. It is really surprising what the right intervention can do.
I could fly like an eagle. And from that day, I never looked back.
Yes, definitely. And you certainly proved that ex-partner of yours very wrong.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yes.
Yes.
That was the aim. I thought, I'm going to prove to this man I can do this. So I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine by the end of that, so you still doing a degree school, but by that point, not only have you proved that, I was going to say ex-partner, I was going to say gentleman and realise that's not the correct term. But imagine your own self-achievement has well overtaken the initial thing that drove you there in the first place. Now, is that what then inspired you to found Aspire to Inspire Dyslexia? Or was there a little bit of a kind of gap between the two?
There was a gap between the two, because when I actually finished my university degree, I got a job and for a really amazing governmental agency. And I was like, I finished uni in July. I think let's say July 4th. I got a job like July 20th. And it was like, wow, I got a job already. I was working for the Metropolitan Police Service.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
In Hendon, in the head office, as a HR assistant. And I was happy to have got the job, Worked there for a little bit. And then I wanted to be closer to London because it was all the way in Hendon. I lived in Tooting. But I wanted to be closer to where I live. So I ended up getting a job sort of a HR evaluation officer. Now, that involves a lot of visiting different HR departments, lots of pie charts, graphs. You're kind of measuring absentees and you're measuring people's sicknesses. And I was like, I can't do this. It's all maths. It's all maths and like,
wow.
Yeah,
right,
evaluation, evaluation officer. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I then went to my line manager and said, look, I'm struggling. So how are you struggling? I was like, I can't do this. I don't know even how to do these pie charts and things. And she didn't understand dyslexia, to be honest. She was like, well, how can I help you? And I said, I don't know. Matt, sometimes we don't even know what kind of help we need.
No, we don't. No, it's one of the hardest things sometimes.
Exactly. So I said, well, how you can help me? I don't know how you can help me, but this is my report. The whole thing got quite messy. And it did. And I just thought, I got the union involved and everything. And the only thing is that I didn't disclose my dyslexia on an onset because I really wanted the job.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't being deceitful. I just thought I could do the job, until I got there. And because I didn't disclose it and it became a bit messy, I thought, I don't have time for this. Don't forget, my middle name, Matt, was like quitter. I'm quit. I'm gone. When it's not working, I'm literally gone. That was then,
Yeah.
So I then left the Met Police, and then I ended up on benefit system and looking for work, and it became a bit of a vicious circle. And I was like, oh, where do we go from here? And then I was looking for jobs that would be customer facing jobs, but then I also wanted to earn a good salary at the same time, So I then decided to go and I said, I want to be a teacher, because I think the pain of not being able to excel so well in education, I wanted to kind of prove to myself that I can help other children or other adults with dyslexia.
Yeah,
so I then went and signed up for professional certificate in education. And I was so lucky and so blessed to have met a lecturer who understood dyslexia.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of, I think she was also my one-to-one support. And I said to her, I can't do this. She said, you can. And I'm going to make sure that you do this. You can do it, So then I got my one-to-one support, study skill support and everything. And then I completed that and thought, actually, I can become someone, it's not, as bad as I thought. And so from there, I then did my teacher's training. I went into makeup by this time. I went back to the hair and makeup, by the way.
Just got to touch base on that one before you take off somewhere else. Yeah.
I was like, listen, let me go back to what I'm good at. My creativity, my hair and makeup and film and TV and all that. So I did all that. And then I wanted to teach, because the film and TV industry, you can work till 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning on set, and I had a baby and it was really hard.
Yeah, yeah.
I decided to take my skills into teaching, and I did a year's teaching placement with West Thames College. There I met a young girl who was so brilliant artistically, but was really struggling with the essay writing. And for me, and she was one of the learners there. For me, it was like, well, that reminds me of me, that young girl. And what will she become once she leaves college. Even if she becomes self-employed, she's still going to know how to do her paperwork and things.
Yeah, accounts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So I thought, a penny dropped. And I thought, I've never known any company community-wise that support people with dyslexia running their businesses. So Aspire to Inspire Dyslexia was born out of that.
That was that. So did you actually teach for very long before you dived into Aspire to Inspire?
I did for a year. I did for 1 year.
Oh, yeah. Did you post whatever it was, the junior teacher? Cool. Now, Aspire to Inspire could be a whole podcast episode on its own.
Yes. We could do another one if you want at some later stage.
We could do. So that sounds like a great idea. We could go for a part 2 where we really drill into that. But let's do a high-level overview of it. Now, it took you on a big journey, and I've sort of read some of your profile. But you obviously had that thought that you could do it community-based rather than being sort of the other way around and being more commercially based. Now, that must have been quite tricky to do and to get into the right place of the community to know where to go. And you hadn't really sort of done anything with the dyslexic industry at that point. So how did you get through all of this kind of murky maze to get it to grow into the thing it was when it was around?
Yes. So I think for me, it was community-based because I wanted people to resonate with my story.
Yeah.
I wanted Joe Bloggs next door, who possibly is unemployed, who cannot afford a dyslexia assessment, who needs a job but don't know how to go about it. I wanted to help people in the community. Because commercially, there's thousands of business out there that can do it.
Yes.
Grassroots, there is people or there are companies, but who can actually give a free assessment where's that availability? And I really wanted it to be Joe Bloggs next door or, I don't know, Stacey next door, whoever it was, to be able to get that support as well. And I wanted my lived experience to give back to community.
Yeah.
So that's how it came about, doing it community based. And I think I wouldn't say nothing like that had ever been done, but I think in terms of Black-led organization,
yes, yeah,
it was a little bit unusual.
Yeah,
I said no one had actually done that. There are lots of advocates out there doing dyslexia stuff, but in terms of community Black-led charity or CIC within the Wandsworth and Lambeth borough, there was nothing. Yeah,
no, and it really did a lot, and I know it had to come to an end, probably not of your own will, doing that kind of project, unfortunately. And I want to leave quite a lot on the table where the geek engineer in me wants to drill into how the mechanics of it work. But I think we should park that for when we really drill into that on its own episode. But for this episode, what would be some of your proudest moments in running that business, and what really brings water to your eyes when you think back on it?
One of my proudest moments was we used to have people come to us, clients come to us or members, and some of them would just say, I don't even know what I've got, but I know I'm struggling to read, write, and spell. I'm also struggling with my memory. I'm struggling with not keeping still. I can't add up. I'm finding it very difficult. I've been sacked from my job. Some of the parents were contacting us for their children. And for example, Joe Bloggs or whatever the child's name is, it's just really sort of become very withdrawn. That they're sort of like, they'll sit at the back of the class and not do anything or say anything. And I think what was great for me, and one testimony really sticks out for me, was a young girl or a mother that came to us, and her daughter was really struggling with dyslexia. And one of our tutors, when I say mentor, did the study skills with her.
Yeah.
So from being the bottom of the class, as I speak to you now, she's actually one of the top learners in her class. She's at secondary school now. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
that is just, you can't put a price on that.
No.
You just can't put a price on that. And we have adults there's one particular adult that I used to actually do one-to-one stuff with as well, like coaching and do some support with her and dyslexia and well-being. And she was from the Nigerian community. And, for her, it was totally forbidden. She could not have spoken about dyslexia or any specific learning. So she was always emotional and really crying, and it was quite heavy. The work we did was quite heavy going.
Yeah.
But I remember when she had her assessment done through a charity called Black Thrive that gave us the funding to do free assessment for people that lived in Lambeth. She came back, she said, Elizabeth, I can see a light under the tunnel now, because I can now finish my education and be able to become someone. And she's actually finished her degree.
Oh, wow. That is really, 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 really cool.
And that testimonies, there's hundreds of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds. And for me, I always used to say, if they had to pay £400 to £500 to £600 and they didn't have that money, what would be a priority? A roof over their head or a dyslexia assessment?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just cannot put a price on somebody who felt like they couldn't mount to anything to become an accountant or a nurse.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely amazing.
It is. And I mean, I got stated as a 6-year-old, so I never quite had the aha moment. But even talking to other guests in this podcast stuff, that aha moment, like just with your own experience, when you realize at university, hang on, it's not because I can't do this. It's because there's something different about the way my brain is wired. Yes. Means that I need to look at this in a different way. And I imagine you had a lot of people, as you say, if it's a choice between the assessment and roof, obviously roof always wins.
Absolutely.
Provide this free surface, and then they just launch themselves into orbit. And we must have a lot of fun memories about that.
Absolutely. And that's why when the company closed, I actually wept like a baby.
I could imagine.
I was so emotional. I was so emotionally wrecked,
Yeah.
And that's because I couldn't continue to help those people that needed it.
Yeah.
I know people have said, oh, why is it free? And I said, it's free because not all of us can afford. I can't afford an assessment of £700-800. No. And I'm working at the moment, because it will be either my fuel energy, my cost of living, or my bills to pay will come over something like that.
Of course it would, yeah. It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. And somebody once said you have to be rich to have dyslexia. And I've met parents who will say, actually, how much is your one-to-one tuition? And we will mention the price and they'll just pay.
Yeah.
And I've got other parents that will say, Liz, do you know what? I've got no food for my children. I can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the difference in that. And I think saying that, I'm grateful to the funders and the charities that used to give the funding.
Yes.
For the kind of work we did.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you are still staying within helping people with dyslexia. I know that closed a little while ago. What did you do between then and moving to your ambassador role at Neurobox? Well,
I was unemployed, back to unemployed again.
Oh, no.
I was.
After all of that.
After all of that. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to so many interviews. I applied for jobs. I did everything that one needs to do to find work.
Yeah.
But I was always disclosing that I've got dyslexia. So I don't know whether that was the reason why I never got jobs. Or is it because I wasn't good enough? I don't know.
No, and it's hard, isn't it? Because you have that seed in your mind, and because nobody will directly tell you, you never know which bit it is, do you? You can drive yourself mad in small hours of the morning, staring at the ceiling, wondering which bit it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just, I disclosed everything. I disclosed I've got dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, Erling syndrome, ADHD. I would disclose all of it. And I think they're thinking, oh, I don't know. Nobody will ever tell you, would they, Matt?
No, they do not.
Here we are.
I've wondered the same with stuff like, what the hell? Like the generic feedback means nothing. It's not very helpful.
Exactly. So I was unemployed for about 10 months and there were some really dark moments.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Really dark moments. But I knew that my focus was, I still want to remain in neurodiversity.
Yeah.
I still want to help people with dyslexia and all the other neurodiverse conditions.
Yeah.
And mental health, because I know that I suffered from anxiety as a result of hiding all the time and fear of being found out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I think COVID didn't help that either. So with pandemic and everything, the whole thing became quite chaotic.
Yeah.
And it was very, very dark moment. And I just didn't think I'll ever find work.
Yeah.
until I found work with Neurobox, which I'm extremely excited about.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about what being an ambassador for Neurobox means and what you're planning to do on your day-to-day basis with your new job, apart from come on podcasts like this.
It is absolutely, it's like a dream come true, you know, and I'm not saying that because I'm on this podcast, Matt. It's just really like a dream come true because everything that because I've got like a vision board and I put things on my vision board.
Oh, yes, cool. Yeah.
You know, and I also believe in the universe will give me what I require and, you know, God will answer my prayers if I really pray about it, you know?
Yeah.
And the job I wanted, in fact, is the job I've got. So my daily sort of work, and there's more to it than what I'm just about to say.
Yeah, yes.
Is you know, as an ambassador, so I will go to companies and speak about neurodiverse conditions and give awareness of all the different conditions of neurodiversity and also disabilities and people with long-term health conditions. For example, I'll give you an example. There's an event coming up on the 5th of October. And I'm giving a talk to a company with a company called CareScribe.
Yes, yep.
And of course, I'm talking about neurodiversity and intersectionality in the workplace.
Oh, cool, yes.
And how we can make the workplace more inclusive for people with diversity and neurodiversity and other layers. For example, I'm a Black woman with disability, a hidden disability, as well as physical disability, actually. I've just been diagnosed with arthritis.
Oh, no.
I know. So I've got it all going on, Matt, you know. You know, so I've got physical disability. I've also got a hidden disability. I'm a Black woman. I'm a female. So all these are layers that could obviously, you know, impact in my daily work.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, I mean, if I must add on top of that, I'm a single parent with 3 children. So, you know, you're looking at all these different areas. And sometimes we just look at dyslexia and neurodiversity. But I'm also saying for example, because of intersectionality, I'm also saying that may not be the only thing that might impact my life.
Yes.
I've also got all the other bits that I've just mentioned.
Yes.
So could we be work neuro-inclusive, as in supporting me in all the different challenges that I might have in the workplace?
Yeah.
So that's one of the talks we're doing. And then my job in itself is really just the ambassador of the organization with my lived experience, as well as, you know, the knowledge I've acquired from A2I dyslexia over the last 6.5 years.
Yeah. Sounds like a nice combination of your experience meets other things, getting you into companies and getting you to talk in front of them. And CareScribe are a great lot too, previous guest on the podcast.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's really cool that you managed, after that sort of dark night of the soul of them 10 months of being out of work, to be picked up and get a job and get going and still spread the neurodiversity message, which you started with your own company.
Absolutely. That's the main focus, because there's still a lot of lack of understanding particularly within the ethnic minority groups as well. There's some, you know, some people may not even want to mention it because of stigma, because of shame, you know, and all sorts of things. And even if I've met people who are perhaps not from the ethnic minority group, but also never want to mention dyslexia because they don't want to be stigmatized in a workplace for whatever reason, you know?
Yeah. I think we all, to different degrees, go through that journey of worrying about what the stigma is going to be.
And people's perception as well, because people have got different perception of what neurodiversity conditions are.
They do indeed, and some of them are very, very incorrect.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start winding this podcast to a close. Now, each guest that comes on this podcast has 3 rapid-fire questions from me. They don't need fast answers from you, but they're 3 quick questions from me to round the episode out. So let's launch into question number 1. What prejudice about dyslexia have you had proven wrong?
Okay, let me think. That's a difficult one.
You want a question too, yeah?
I think for me, the fact that I was always told, listen, she's not going to amount to nothing, because I heard from teachers. I heard from some friends that I've had in the past, not in my sort of old age, but when I was younger.
Yeah.
And even the other day, it was really funny, actually. My middle daughter, she's 26 years of age, and she was saying, Mum, I can't say the word, Matt. Statistically, that's it.
Statistically, yes.
Yeah. You might want to add that in the podcast, by the way, that I couldn't say that word. Add it. There you go. Right. According to stats and research, my daughter was saying on paper, nobody really thought that you would be successful because, on paper, but she said, Mum, you've done really well. You've come out and you've proven the world wrong, rather.
Yeah.
And you're here and you're an example to the world, of people who live with dyslexia. So I hope I've answered your question in that sense of, when people thought I couldn't, but I've done it. And I'm still hoping one day in my life to do my PhD and so forth and become Dr. Elizabeth.
Oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Just for my dad,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Just to say that, Dad, I did it, and
why not?
One day, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, question number 2. If an alien landed and you had to describe dyslexia to them, how would you do it?
Oh, wow. Okay, how would I describe dyslexia to an alien? I would say, do you know what? I would sit that alien down and I would say to them, I just want you to look at our creative people I can only use the world, or should I say the UK? Let's start with the UK.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at people actually, let's use the world. Then I've got more, more numbers to give you.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Whoopi Goldberg as an actress. She's got dyslexia. Here you go. Great, wonderful comedian that can make you laugh till you drop. Yeah.
Yes.
So we got one, and then we've got people like Morgan Freeman who's got dyslexia. We've got Muhammad Ali. The list is long and long and long. There's so many people. I mean, you've got Richard Branson, Jamie Oliver, all these entrepreneurs that have made it with dyslexia. So I would say to the alien, I just want you to sit back, alien, reflect, and look at all these people that have invented things in the past. So we're probably looking at, apparently, and I could be wrong, we might do a research on this, the man who set up IKEA has got dyslexia. Walt Disney. So if we're looking at dyslexia, that's what I would say to the alien.
Yeah.
Look around you and see all these successful people.
Yeah.
Including Matt and including me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, here we are.
Yes. Okay, then. And the final rapid fire question in this set, seeing as this is the Dyslexia Life Hack show, what is your favorite dyslexia life hack?
Okay. I'm a problem solver. Matt. And I know I often say to people, no matter what the problem is, listen, just talk to me and I can solve it for you. And that's a real great gift to have, to be honest. Okay. I look at the bigger picture, I step back and I think, why didn't you do it this way? As a result, I've actually fallen out with friends and family members because they're like, hang on a minute, she's always got the answer for it. They don't actually get me because I'm sort of solving the problem before the problem arises. So to speak.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So I'm a problem solver, and I think that's a great skill for me to have. I'm also somebody who's very empathetic.
Yes.
So I'm really empathetic to so many different situations. And I think we all need somebody, whether it's a company or family or friends, you do need someone that's quite empathetic in their approach and how they deal with things.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm very creative as well, extremely creative. Not in terms of maybe drawing, I don't know, the next building in Oxford Circus,
right.
But I can be very creative in my thinking.
Yeah.
And I can be very creative in terms of problem solving again.
Yeah. Cool. Okay then. Well, before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to add, and where can people find you?
Wow. What would I like to add? I just want to say one thing. I just want to say to anyone who's listening right now, if you're struggling with dyslexia or any of the neurodiversity conditions, I just honestly want to say to you that there is a light under the tunnel. Sometimes you just got to find that light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And it will come.
Yeah, definitely.
And whatever you're good at, whoever's listening to this podcast, whatever you're good at, whether it's painting and decorating, gardening, a fashion designer, whatever you are that you do that you're brilliant at, continue doing it.
Yeah.
Continue doing what you're brilliant at, because the more you do whatever you do, the better you become.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, please don't give up. It is well. And I will say that lastly, through it all, through everything I've been through, one of the most beautiful jobs I've ever done in my 53 years of living on this planet is working with or working on behalf of neurodiverse people. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Great sentiment. And that leads me to thank you for taking the time this evening to talk to me. I feel like we've got more to explore in a later episode, but for this first kind of introductory episode to you, it's been really great.
Oh, thank you so much, Matt. Honestly, thank you so much for the opportunity.
That's
I'm
okay.
so grateful to be part of this.
Now, that leaves me to thank everybody else for taking the time to listen, and I'll speak to you in the next episode. Goodbye for now.